as a people of good repute. Before our Republic declaring invasion, we were respectful of each other, of the law, and of our culture. We earned our living through honest hard work, making clean money for ourselves.
Our values helped us to maximize the benefits of our natural resources as well as our human resources. Southern Cameroons were serene and clean, simply beautiful in spirit and in the physical. We all long for such a place to call home.
Not only that, we not suffer from that. Who said the reference hospital they ever promised and for una day? When I sit down, make sure say we could finish this particular fight, fix our country. Make nobody not trying again. Now a special warning that from this ANC. Would they equally tell the churches, say make them stay away from the terrorism for the Republic. Make when no one organize any occasion. They begin to say make Yaoundé be represented. Make them take permission, special permission for enter Ambazonia. And when right now that permission not be granted. When the time go reach, if not feel as to deal with them, churches will tell una stay neutral or una make sure say una stand with una people they be oppressed. We know why yesterday they fly people from Yaoundé again for any occasion. If Yaoundé propose them, una turn them down. Make una turn them down. Now the last order this will give una. If una make the mistake, again, una understand say the ARF they will visit una for correct the mistake una make up. And we re-emphasize this issue for 20th May. The lockdown now on the 19th and the 20th. Not from the 16th. Make nobody not listen to the 16th. The 16th, 17th, and 18th. Now normal days for inside Ambazonia. No lockdown, no day for any of those 3 days. The lockdown that from the 19th. We don't want make people suffer. Before the ANC and this government want to take that decision, they don't shut down. Think well, which way go be good for people. We don't want make with civilian population suffer. The people the way they beside, the people they beside La Republic. For make sure say me they make sure for tell people say me they go out on the face of me. Make them not play politics this time around. For tell people that for me they not turn this thing for politics. For talk say 16, 17, and 18. Now lockdown, it not go happen. The lockdown na the 19th and the 20th. Would the once more salute with ARFs and with the salute with civilian population, would it tell them say, make them make sure say make them protect with ARFs as well as with ARFs go protect them. Would the salute all una and would tell una say we'll come back again with more news, we'll come back with more information from this particular house. Short live the struggle, long live the Federal Republic of Ambazonia.
Ambazonia rise.
Dear Ambazonians on the home front and diaspora.
Dear Ambazonia freedom fighters in the home front and in the diaspora. Agency to serve as a moral compass for your departments.
Ambazonians, you need to know your rights by reading the ethics code and the constitution.
Shame unethical behavior and reward good behavior in your communities. Hold leaders accountable. Be the watchdog of
his insinuation is
Ambazonians. Watch ethics for an emerging Ambazonia every Friday at 10 p.m. Amba time.
Exclusively on ABC Amba TV. Stay tuned.
this broadcast. I apologized for starting 38 minutes late. We had some issues with connectivity. I was trying to ensure that I could connect my device. Strangely, I had issues with having my mic on, but thank God we're here live talking with you this very special evening, and we have something really deep in our hearts that we feel the peoples of the former British Southern Cameroons, today Amazonia, deserve to know. Like you saw with the caption we released earlier on, I am telling Mr. Arno enough of the lies. Some of you must have seen the caption that he sent out. You've seen it. I'm very confident you saw it. The impression of that caption is that firepower is returning. And we all know his insinuation. His insinuation is that his Marianta in the UK is doing the job. But that's all lies. That's all fraud. Monkey the walk, baboon the chop. We will not allow things like that to happen again. I am very much aware of some of the lies that they've been telling you over the weeks and the months. For some time, I decided not to speak about it. We decided to hold. But now we're not going to keep quiet. There's a lot I want to talk about tonight. And I want you watching on social media, on YouTube and on Facebook, to share and to tell somebody that we're live. Those watching from the home front, good evening to you. Good evening to those watching in Taambese, in Taamafe, that is in Mezam, in Manu. Those watching in Mediki, congratulations to the restoration forces in Bui, the restoration forces in Meme, for the great job you did. Congratulations. The restoration forces in Manu, congratulations. I want to thank the restoration forces in Boyo, the restoration forces in Lebialem. Do not allow fraudsters take your bravery away from you. You're not going to let that. Now, before I get into some of the lies of Mr. Arno, it's very easy because he's not a good communicator. It's very, very easy for you to capture or caption his lies. I wanted to talk about former President Sisiko Julius Ayukta. I'm not going to have a break. I'm going directly into the communication right now. I listened to an audio about 2 weeks ago with Mr. Sisiko requesting for some kind of revolutionary council. I will tell you, I will hasten to say, that's a paradox of what Sisiko has preached from 2017. Now, when I listened to him it was about 5 minutes, someone sent to me, and it would appear some individuals called the ADF, some Coopers. It was a kind of meeting, and he was being interviewed from Kondiki, and he gave reasons and even narrowed down the interim government to a group. Is he all of a sudden realizing that the interim government is not what it's supposed to be? Or is he just playing politics? Or is he just being frustrated of the fact that he has not succeeded to dismantle the interim government so that he can freely negotiate with Yaoundé? What is Sisiko actually saying? If Sisiko Julius Ayuktabe was an honest person, he would have said this in 2017 when the disgruntled, I'm talking about the Akwangas, the Cho Ayabas, the Bohebes, felt excluded in his game plan. He told Ambazonians, and Ambazonians accepted because that was legality. That was in sync with our history. Now, I want to talk to you very briefly what the foolishness of the Revolutionary Council is all about. Amazonia has restored her independence. Will Amazonia be talking with Cameroon as a group or groups of individuals coming to form a consortium? That alone, if we take that approach, it defies logic. It defies our argument. Our argument is that we are people, we had our independence. We were independent, we had a state, we had a government. And that government was dismantled. Our nation was invaded by President Amadou Ahidjo in 1961. He arrogantly dissolved the union in 1972. And Biya stupidly, foolishly seceded from the former British Southern Cameroons, today Amazonia. They seceded. They are secessionists. We are not secessionists. But Is it that Sisiko, Julius Ayuk Tabe, and all the Coopers that are now thinking that their rescueship should be a revolutionary council? Is it that they're ignorant? I deny that they are not ignorant. They're just evil. It is all about them. If it is not them, it is not good for Amazonia. So whatever construct that is going to fit their ego, that's what they will do. It doesn't go for Amazonia, but they just want to do it. They just want us to have a revolutionary council, even though they are aware that we must talk with Cameroon on the negotiation table as a government. Now, perhaps these individuals are feeling disgruntled because they have been excluded from the interim government, not the leadership of President Sako. I want to give you a little bit of history. When President Sako took over office in 2018, he communicated with these individuals, but they felt that perhaps some of them have been in the struggle 30 years and he was not man enough, mature enough. He was not a leader enough to lead them. And therefore they ignored his call. Okay, he created a platform, ASC, that was going to take these contractors. Okay, you say you have defenses or defense fighters at the home front. Join us, let's work together. Dr. Sako, contrary to what they want you to believe, is someone who believes in collectivism. And he has always done so. He's the mastermind behind the most united front that we have in the struggle today. That's Team Act. Now anybody talking to you about unity but ignores Team Act as a fraudster, is a La Republique agent, despise them. I didn't want to talk too much about the Sisiko stuff for today because the heated subject on the table is the deception of Mr. Anu and his brother Oliver. And that's a vital aspect which I want to talk about today. Mr. Anu, after the bomb, the IED exploded in Libya, in his obvious mannerism of lies, wants to tell you that they have a strategy on the ground. They have nothing. Even their attempt to raise money has failed before their face. The Coopers do not even trust themselves, so they can't give money to each other. Intelligence has it that they are disgruntled among themselves because of insufficiency of force. What were they counting when they told you they're taking over and they're going to make things happening on the ground? They were counting on money in the national treasury, and this is money that they did not raise. This is money because of President Sako. He entrusted this money in the hands of individuals that we now know that are really not in favor of Amazonia. Richard Tangu, that was at the helm of the treasury, is a brother of Fayengo Francis. And we now understand that he might just have been an infiltrate, an enabler, a blackleg planted by Cameroon within the struggle. Why is this story important? And why must we continue to tell you this? Some have insinuated that President had access into the treasury and perhaps he was using your money for private investment. But what is happening today is your answer. Is there any truth to that? Okay, if there is truth to that, close to 200,000 US dollars that's in the Amazonian treasury, the president didn't have signatory into that account. The president had entrusted it to Richard Tangu and his friends, who today are Coopers. But the good news in this whole fraud of Richard Tangu is that the money he cannot use. I'll explain to Amazonians perhaps that are not aware of what is happening. The Amazonian Foundation has now is employing legal procedures to reclaim what is rightfully Amazonians. And it is important for me to reiterate that from the month of October last year, Coopers, under the influence, the council, the leadership, the mentorship of Chris Arnold decided they were not going to be donating money into this government. Those who believed in the vision of President of the former British South today, Amazonia, I'm talking about the vision of Dr. Sako, donated in hundreds and thousands, and it made the figures you're now hearing. Huge amounts of monies were donated, not just in the account in the United States, but in the accounts in the UK and in Australia. At a particular point, Richard Tangu denied respecting requisitions that were coming from the president. And these were requisitions that Richard Tangu knows where this money was going to go. So when I tell you that Chris Arnold and Richard Tangu are killing our people, it's because Cameroon employed them, staged them, and told them don't release this money, because they know the money is meant to protect our people. So Chris Arnold and Richard Tangu, Blessed Chair, Madame Ashu, they are killing Amazonians on the ground. Money that was meant for our people to protect themselves, for sustenance. These guys, I wouldn't use the word hijack, it's hyping them. They can't hijack the money. Tell them that I say they can't use the money. Right now, Madame Ashu tried withdrawing money fraudulently from one of the accounts, and the United States of America has caught her. It is under investigation. Do not be surprised to have her in jail. Now, Richard Tangu has tried the same way he recruited in Germany to fabricate documents, has tried a couple of times to create fake documents in Maryland, and he has been flagged as a fraudster. Do not be surprised of the outcome in recent days. They accuse the president of fraud. Today, I am challenging them. You can place a counter suit with your evidence. The president came out and told them, if you have any evidence against me, table it. I'm ready to stick my face. They couldn't. But because they wanted to deceive you, they subscribed with Nanchop, who is expert in fake documents. But he is not even good in fake documents, because his fake documents were clear. He fabricated documents of the CDC, and even Ambazonians didn't buy the fraud. You have just very evil Ambazonians that even want to believe for 1 minute that there was something or there was any credence that could have been awarded in this fraud of Nanchop. It failed. They were in a rush to impeach the president under the instructions of Yaoundé. Now today you know why they were so much in a rush. They were not patient enough to conduct an investigation. The reason is simple. It's because they have been lying. They knew that if we are patient enough to allow the people process the information we are giving to them, there will be nothing found. So it's like, you know what they talk with pigeon say, blindfold. So they tried to blindfold Amazonians, took some in a Zoom meeting, and overnight they said they were doing an impeachment. Now after Amazonians rejected their impeachment, they thought they could do a removal. And then they took the lady who is desperately crazy in the UK and to use her as a handkerchief. It's unfortunate how a young lady, a beautiful young lady, that probably has a bright future, will allow criminals and the likes of Abonga Harrison, Chris Arnold, to use her so desperately. Well, it is said birds of a feather flock together. Today, Amazonians, it's important that we get to the crux of the matter of some things. These individuals have galvanized themselves together, and they want to lock our people down for a week for no just reason, because they want to make you feel that they have control. They want to intimidate you to stay at home. That is their plan. Before I even get into that discussion, I have the two Secretaries of State for Defense here, Francis Chenye and Sylvester Zama. Now, I want to talk a little bit about Oliver, the former Field Marshal, the King of Amazonia. About 8 weeks ago, He kept on calling the president, and through France CFA was sent to Oliver. The president reported, this information is not confirmed yet. The president, after reporting, I heard from unconfirmed sources that Field Marshal was disgruntled to understand that a public announcement was made that money has been sent to different areas of Amazonia. It was not only sent in Libya, money was sent to Bui, money was sent to Mesa, money was sent to Ngoake Tunja. Field Marshal was very unhappy. Do you know why? He was unhappy because he knew their plan, their game plan. Okay, let's think about it this way. A few days after you've called the president and you've received money, and you come out to send an audio in contravention of the president's order without consultation. I hear from unconfirmed sources that Field Marshal is now saying the money that was sent to him, he sent it to Isubu. I want to say that this is not true. Because if he really said this, then it is a lie. He knows that what he just said is a lie. So what was their plan? From my very own thinking, their plan was to fraudulently take money from the interim government and use it like Anu did. Anu came with his impulsive, arrogant attitude, came to the government and promoted a project that he knew was a fraud. And close to 140,000 US dollars, the hard-earned money of Amazonians, was donated and handed over to Anu for a project that he knew with a gavel that it is a fraud. Now for months after months, Amazonians waited and nothing happened. Then one day, Chris Anu comes into a meeting and looks into the eyes of Amazonians and tells them, listen, it was a fraud. My question that he has never answered, the question that Chris Anu has never answered, when did you realize it was a fraud? Only after Amazonians started pressuring? Only at the time that you were supposed to brief the people? When? Only at the time that you were aiming for presidency? I was working with this man from the month of August last year. Mr. Anu started campaigning for himself as a president. This is a man that does not understand authority. I told people in the department and nobody understood it. I understood it. I could see it. I knew it. Mr. Anu, after failing with his agenda, decided to disrupt an entire struggle. Because Amazonians had so loved, they gave to him a platform. He's a man who claims he's more than 50, maybe 60, maybe 70, whatever. I don't care. And he's saying for decades he's been a journalist, but nobody knew him in any area of journalism. Thank God there was a struggle in Amazonia that gave him a platform. And he thought in his mind that he was going to use that platform to destroy the people, to sell his own people. Mr. Anu was subscribed. It is now confirmed. He was subscribed by Yaoundé. Today, Anu wants to make you feel like he is desirous to have firepower on the ground. If Mr. Anu, for 1 minute, even thought that firepower on ground zero was important, he would have listened to wise counsel last year in the month of October. Elders, reverends, pastors, friends, close powers called Anu and said, calm down, because what you're doing is not crediting positive for Amazonia. It's a negative. We can handle this. He despised everyone, despised every institution, met with his criminal friends in the defunct Restoration Council, and they escalated the plot. It's a fair plot. The defunct, extinct Restoration Council of Cometa, another Confucianist, demented Confucianist, a few days ago released a letter. And in his letter, Cometa is claiming acknowledgement of the letter from the lawyers. I'm talking about the interim government lawyers, and then trying to deceive you Amazonians. Cometa wants to deceive you. He tell you that he still has some power somewhere to do something. Listen to me. Stop listening to them. In his letter, he's trying to encourage some of you to file a lawsuit against the president. I advise you not to do so. But if you still think that there is any credence that you can award to these people, dare it. File it. If you have evidence, file it, the case. It's not a threat. Go ahead and file it. Anu has deceived you. Cometa has deceived you. Abongwa, Marianta, they have deceived you. They do not have legality in whatever they said. First of all, it was fabrication, and now they're in a big pot of soup. But you know, evil practitioners don't give up. Until they are buried, they don't give up. Now you see Anu standing, he's a dead man. Fortunately for him, some of the things he encouraged Richard Tangu, Bless Chair, and Ashu to do, he was not the one. And he's assuming in his head that he's going to take the console of ABC Amber TV hostage forever, then he is definitely sick. This is a man with Getru Kisop. They fraudulently made the Amazonian Broadcasting Corporation board to pay for rents in his studio for 3 months. He went away with equipment. That is who Anu is. Until today, Chris Anu has been unable to justify anything he has said. And you still listen to him? Why do you choose to make yourself a fool? It's unfortunate. It is said you can take a camel to the stream, but you cannot force it to drink water. For the Amazonians, the majority of Amazonians are the home front and in the diaspora, who are not evil and who are willing to listen, we will speak. I speak to you with facts. I make audacious statements. Any of them who think that what I said wasn't true, I'm challenging them to file a lawsuit, and I will meet them in court. And unto them, tell them to shut up. They will give the website, they will release the money. In just a few weeks, the president, that's the rightful signatory of the money that is in Australia, in the UK, and in the United States, will start signing the money. They can't use the money. Go tell them, if they think they're a true government and they can touch the money, let them go ahead. You find the activists today are fleeing from Facebook, especially Rancho. He has deleted content because he knows that the things he said to you were all lies. I wonder why a young man that should have dedicated himself to do a little bit of study wasted so much time to lie. And his lie was not even a good lie. He didn't even know how to lie. I'm not sure he remembers some of the things he said. So who is killing our people as I speak to you right now? Chris Anu and most probably his brother. 2 million has not been accounted for. I'm not sure. Or perhaps they just did that so they can fraudulently take some monies to you. Chris Anu, Richard Tangu, that has made it difficult for money that Amazonians donated to be used for the rightful cause. They are killing Amazonians. And Cameroon gave them this instruction. Now, I conclude with the lady Aso. I'm finding it difficult to call her Reverend Aso. This is a woman who could not manage $20,000 or $60,000 in FACO. She destroyed FACO. Zero achievement. And she wants to make you believe that she has something to offer to Amazonians. If you believe that, then you're a fool. The team we are, or the team we have right now, are achievers. We have a team of people who have achieved things. I'm talking to you about the Secretary of State for Self-Defense. As county chair from Kitunja, we saw popcorns, we saw heavy weapons, machineries from La République du Cameroon being popped up. Lava Storm has just been activated a few days later. You are seeing the results. It is not just talk. You can match talk with action. It's not noise. Enough of the noise. Tell Mr. Arnold to shut up. If he cannot provide to you the 140,000 US dollars, let him shut up. If he doesn't have evidence, if he is unable to place a counter suit, he told you he was going to jail Dr. Sako. Tell him the time is right. Let him go ahead. Tell Cometa to file the lawsuit. Let him not send you. Tell Cometa that if he thinks that he has any legality anywhere, let him file a lawsuit. Until then, tell them to shut up. Tonight, I will be talking with these two technicians in self-defense, and our focus will be to give to you reasons why only the 19th and the 20th is a lockdown in Federal Republic of Amazonia. Right away, I would like to transition into the studios. They have been waiting for so long. Stay tuned. Good evening, gentlemen. You're welcome to this very special broadcast. Thank you for creating the time to join us.
Good evening.
Good evening, SOS Frank.
Good evening.
SOS Zama. Thank you for joining. I'm
Good
glad
evening.
to have you. Okay, without any waste of your time, let's just get into the crux of the matter. The interim government has announced, we're going to diverge the discussion as we make progress, has announced the 19th and the 20th as the official lockdown days in Amazonia. And I've received a lot of messages from the home front with our people telling us about this confusion. A faction I don't want to call name because I do not want to hide them. Crazy individuals, demented Confucianists trying to create some relevance, are insisting. It's a paradigm, in my opinion, because a few days ago, they did not want to boycott the Labor Day. That was just one day. And all of a sudden, because the president has declared 2 days, they now want to declare 5 days. What is this whole foolishness? Please, you both can talk interchangeably, please. This whole foolishness, what is it all about?
I'll let the SOS go ahead with that first.
Oh man, I was just jumping in to say you can go ahead. All right, thank you, Director Paddy. SOS Zama, yeah, Cafe Day Up. 21 gun
Thank you.
salute to our restoration forces and fellow viewers. Um, it is not surprising to see what is happening, especially with our so-called comrades with whom we've been working so hard to see that this revolution goes to higher heights. All the plans that they are putting on the table now is coming from the enemy's camp, and these are clear evidence that they are just going by the playbook of the oppressor. So the position of this interim government is not going to change, and we are making it very, very clear that the lockdown is going to be only the 19th and 20th of May. Lockdown is not a tool to show force. No, lockdown is more of the continuous civil disobedience that we have been, practicing from the time we reopened our case for a free Amazonia on a large scale. The Mondays we've been observing is not because we want to punish our people. The lockdowns we've been calling are not because we want to punish our people. And there will be no need for this interim government to call for an extensive lockdown that is of no use. 19th and 20th will be observed as the national lockdowns in Amazonia. Comrade Zama, you can pick over from there.
Well, I think we have to understand why we are having this lockdown because Cameroonians have been deceived that May 20th was a youth day. It's been touted as such, but that's not been how we really
Was a
understood
national
now.
day. They were actually deceived that May 20th is a national
Yes,
day.
yeah, that's not a national day. That's the day we were annexed completely with all their rubbish that they did. But we have to get our people to understand that we are not in a competition who can uh, put a lot of suffering on our people. The goal is not to do that put a lot of burden on our people. We do have a lot of burden. Trying to live in a war-torn zone is not a little feat. But we want to let everybody to understand that at this stage, we've been at this war for 5 years, and we are not asking people to rely on the leaves of a plant for its sustenance. The roots of this revolution has been the IG, and we want everybody to understand that. If you are contributing or you are not contributing, that's not the idea. But we want to have a unison of purpose, given that this war has touched every little facet of our territory. There is no area that has not been hurt. I cannot name any family that has not been touched by this war, be it the fact that they cannot go to a health center, be it the fact that they were killed on their way to the farms, to schools, to work. So it's something that it's a show of force in the sense that we are not relenting. And if 2 days is in a scheme of 365 days, is not going to kill any one of us.
Thank you very much, SOS, for that contribution there. This is the point that is important, which I think we need to talk and sensitize. 2 days is not enough. Do you think there's any rationale? I would like to start with you, SOS Zama. Is there any rationale why anyone would want to extend it for 5 days?
As of now, the conditions of the ground doesn't permit that. There has to be a reasoning for why we have these extensive lockdowns. It's a policy tool that we use in this fight, and there is no reason to have an extensive lockdown. The idea is to show that Cameroon is not in control of our territory, and that's just the idea of having this 2-day ban, because this is one of the crowning achievements of the year. There's no other event in Cameroon that goes on after May 20th. Apart from those, there are football games that they play. That's all they have. We in our part of territory, we are not in observation of that, and we want everybody, be they visitors in our country, be they citizens of Amazonia, that this will not be recognized, and you're going out on those days at your own peril. I want to inform people that the Cameroon soldiers go out as amber boys and do a lot of atrocities on those days. So you should be mindful that you are facing the bullet from two sides, from illegal forces and those evil forces. So we have to be mindful and let our people understand that we are in all this, all of us together.
Yeah, SOS, please.
Thank you, Director. We must continue to reiterate our position has always been to match the lockdown in close proximity to whatever we want to achieve. There is no need to go for more than 2 days. Our people are already paying the price for this war declared on us by La Republique. And additional punishment to the people is just more of cruelty. So 2 days to us is more appropriate. The 19th, there will be no movement because we want to limit whatever they'll be trying to move into our territory. The 20th, there will be no movement. And by the 21st, everybody will go about their business. Anything before the 19th is unnecessary. Just like SOS Zama said, there is no need to hold down the population to force them to lack of medical attention or even being unable to go about their businesses for 3 extra days. There is no need. La Republique is so aware, and that's why they are always fighting to see that they enforce such events to drag our people to Dagaland and then start killing innocent people. Those La Republique paid agents that are in our territory, let's not give them a chance to continue to desecrate our people. We have to be very clear on this. The ARFs have been activated county by county. No voice apart from that of the interim government is going to supersede in a county when the generals and their foot soldiers in that county are not aware or are capable of enforcing. For every lockdown we call, we have enough resources to cover that period. Calling an extensive lockdown is equally very devastating on our ARFs because these are guerrillas and they cannot afford to be running up and down to enforce these lockdowns when the days are unnecessary. So we will maintain our stance.
Okay, thank you very much, SOS, for that amazing. You've just mentioned something that has to do with us having sufficient logistics to enforce these days. Now, before we get into the details of that, I want to come to you, SOS Zama. Some months ago, we had a meeting during the peak of the coup plotting, and you're going to be surprised that I captured something you said there, kept it in my memory, and until today, I'll be bringing it to you. You said something at the end of that meeting. We're just having a discussion. You had some coopers there. It was one of those meetings that we spoke extensively, and you said something to some of the county chairs. Some of them were coopers at the time, and you said, "You guys are making the work difficult for me." It was because of your relationship between them and how resources get to the boys and communication flow. And you told them at the time you were occupying the position of Mr. Francis Chinye today. You said something. You are making the work difficult to me or for me. Particularly, you were talking to a Cooper at the time. Can you bring back this memory to Amazonians? How did these individuals make this work so complicated? And what are you guys doing today? Has it been facilitated? What is actually happening on the ground? How can Amazonians listening to you today? I'm talking about stakeholders. Help you people to facilitate this. This is something I want us to talk elaborately because it is quite important for our people to know.
I just want to let people understand that prior to last August, very few of our soldiers were being killed. Very few. We were tactically in an advantage position compared to La Republique. We had the momentum, and the confusion that was set by the people who were trying to change stuff that I cannot still understand to this moment. There's some sort of deflated that buoyancy for that fight at that point. They made a lot of confusion between our soldiers. They put each other against the other, and it became a tussle for title, for control and financing and power. That's not what we were fighting here for. We were invited to help our brothers and sisters back home, we from the diaspora, to help these people get the shackles of La Republique off their feet and their necks. But I want the people back home to understand that we are comfortable where we are. And if we take the time to provide our assistance, to provide the funding to help you get rid of La Republique, it's imperative for you to do your part. It's imperative for you not to be fickle. Because if you tend to move like a wheat in the sea back and forth, we are not going to make any movement. We are basically going to decimate our population. We are basically going to have a lot of women with no men, because these barbarians from the east are basically going after young men. The older people are going to die in the next 10, 15 years, but the young people have a life expectancy that may be longer, but they've made it an executive division from Yaoundé to exterminate our people. And it's sad that a lot of our people, even those in Cameroon government who are from Ambazonia, are failing to see this. And it's hard. It's hard. It makes our jobs hard. It makes our job really difficult, because we cannot understand, despite all the struggles that there are so many of us who have sacrificed, so many people who've sacrificed, many people have mortgaged their home to provide money for this fund, to fund this war. Many people work so many hours to provide money for this war. But sometimes we get it, sometimes we don't. It's a war, it's a guerrilla, we do not have no financing but ourselves. And duly so, we should count on ourselves. We should not be counting on any other person to provide funding for this war. As it is, the people who have been providing a lot of hindrance to this war have really killed a lot of our people, be they civilians or soldiers. But we've turned the tide. You could see from the recent videos that are circulating on social media, we are fighting back, and we are fighting really hard. Anybody who is going to Ambazonia thinking that they are going back to Yaoundé to go get their bonus for killing Ambazonians, they may be deceiving themselves. We are having their charred bodies all over Ambazonia. We are having their decapitated legs and heads all over. But the good thing is that we are going after legitimate military targets. The sad thing is they go after our civilians and call them Amba people. And this is the asymmetrical manner in this war. And we are asking our civilians, you are an integral part of our defense system. You cannot say you do not belong. You are not an Amba boy. You are not. The mere fact that you were born in Ambazonia, you have a name, Tabot, Ebier, and all or not, Ngwa, Neba. All those names are entitled to a bullet if it's up to the La Republique people. So we are all in this soup together. We are asking each other, we are going to provide the support for you to be able to defend yourself. We are asking for your support to defend yourself.
Yeah, that is quite elaborate there. SOS Frank, now you have your ears on the ground. I know Dr. Zama has his ears as well. You now see, like Dr. Zama just mentioned, the improvement on the ground. But ADF is claiming responsibility. Coopers are claiming responsibility. What is your hold as a strategist? What is your hold on the ground? Is there any collaboration between you and the boys? How much confidence can you give from county level and perhaps national level when it comes to being able to liaise with these boys and giving the appropriate instruction of what you would like to see?
Thank you for that, Paddy. The first thing I will say is we at the Department of Self-Defense, we are in full collaboration and networking with the Ambazonian Restoration Forces at the home front. All the counties have duly authorized representatives that are connecting with the restoration forces. And we are working so hard to make sure all their needs are met up. Now, when it comes to the amount of confidence we have in what we do on the ground, Remember, this strategy is not something that is started today. And I want to make it very, very clear to the people of Ambazonia that there are successes that we see today that have nothing to do with today. There are strategies that have been put in place for months, strategies that have been put in place for years, resources that have been purchased and kept for quite a while, and now we see the results. I will continue to thank the restoration forces because they know the truth. Those who come out today to try to will the success of this interim government to some other coupers or groups just because they want to disprove or they want to fight the president of the interim government, Dr. Sako, they are just deceiving themselves. We all know that most of these resources are not things that are gathered within an hour or two. So the success we see on the ground is coming quite a far way back. We will continue to work with the restoration forces, and the kind of collaboration we call from them is the collaboration of LGA by LGA, county by county, following the structure, making sure that the chain of command begins from the federal level all the way to the grassroots. For those who think they cannot respect this chain of command, they will simply bow out. But the honorable thing we expect of them is when you buy out, give credit where credit is due. You cannot go on the air and say, oh, the interim government has never done anything for me. The interim government has given me less than 8 million since this war started. But, Director Paddy, if I tell you between the month of July of 2021 and April of 2022, this interim government has supplied the Field Marshal of Libya alone with more than 14 million francs CFA. You won't believe it. Just between July 2021 to April, we're talking of approximately 10 months. And it's about $28,000 plus. But yet, he has the guts to go pleasing the coopers by saying in an audio that he has received not up to 8 million. How many factories did this interim government give him money to put up? How many of those factories are still running? What did those factories even manufacture? We understood that we are in a guerrilla war. And if things get rough and the guerrilla has to change his place of hiding, yes, there are certain things that you might not be able to carry along. But why can't you be honest enough to say, this is what I received? And all this was for one reason. And that is why people keep fighting us today. You said it. He was so mad when a 2 million francs was reported as going to Libya. And why was he mad?
Yeah.
Because he doesn't give an account to anybody. Not even the generals under him have ever heard of any money coming in. And these same generals will come out to say the interim government is doing nothing because the person receiving the money for that allocation does not discuss or even let the soldiers know. That is why we went on that rampage of announcing everything that goes to a county or to a unit.
To a county.
Because the people need to know. Exactly. Thank you.
Now, this is quite interesting. And I'm happy that today Dr. Sako has given the clearance for such information to be divulged publicly, because I have confronted the president a couple of times, and he would say, "Don't let them insult me. Don't give it publicly." I'm talking not recently. I'm talking from last year. The president said, "No problem. Let Amazonians say what they say. I will do what I am doing." So he was not about showing himself. He was about just doing the work. I'm telling you audaciously, if you have any evidence against me on this, come with it and let's have a discussion. From 1961, we've had leaders. You name them. These leaders have made donations. These leaders have collected money. But there's one leader that has collected money and has done the work more than every other leader. I'm talking from all the leaders of Southern Cameroon from 1961 until today, 2022. Now, SOS Zama, you were Secretary of State for self-defense at the time when these factories were being constructed, when this strategic investment was done underground. Can you affirm to some of this declaration your colleague has just made this evening? And if yes, what do you think?
Well, I think we should count our gains rather than our losses, because those are foregone, those are sunk costs of this revolution. We are not going to be going back and forth on this. We will never make any progress. It's just like your car is stuck in the mud. You say, you're pushing it forward, somebody's pushing backward. We have to move forward with this. We've had some mistakes, yes. We've met some people who have been outright misappropriated money. Yes, those are the same things that happen in every war. When there's a breakdown in order, those things happen. We have to move on, given all the difficulties that we have. But we want to let our people understand that we are making a lot of progress. Our soldiers are very valiant. They are in the battlefield every day and night. And the enemy is feeling the pinch, because I just spoke to somebody from Ebola. I said, every yard now has a grave in front of them, in front of their home, because that's how they bury their families, in front of their houses in the south. We are not going to be going back and forth regarding this. Yes, we have made mistakes. We've made our own share of mistake, and let's accept that responsibility and move on. We've had people who have deliberately taken the Amazonian people for fools, and we have to just acknowledge that and move on. We've learned from the bitter lessons of yesterday, and today we know what to do. That's why we're announcing all this funding that goes out publicly, because there are too many local government leaders that were not accountable. There are too many generals who had disbursed money that were not accountable. But I just want to tell people that idea that fighters and generals are complaining about not having enough tools is universal, because even in the United States, that spends the largest amount of military expenditure in the world, there are still soldiers or generals who are still complaining that they don't have enough equipment. Even though we know that they have the best equipment in the world, they still complain. So it's just a natural thing to have too much excess capacity when they don't need to. In our case, we will be doing these things as we go, and I don't think it's a bright idea of what we started, because sometimes some of these things are bulky, but we have to be nimble. We have to be able to move like people are gorillas. We have to be able to do a 5 minutes, 10 minutes move packaging and moving, where we can carry anything that we need. That's why we are in this war. We are fighting a guerrilla war, and we are not going to be bogged down by the things that we acquire to do stuff. We will look nimble ways and safer ways to do the things that we've been doing. And I think this war will go on, and time is on our side, and it's it's our war to win, and we are going to win it. The country is already bankrupt. There's nothing that's going on in Cameroon. They are not paying salaries, and this is the burden that we wanted to have on them. Since they want to hold Amazonia down, we will hold everybody will be down. We don't have anything to lose. They do.
That is, you see, sometimes when I listen to you people talk after the noise on the social media, when I listen to you people talk, I feel inspired. I'm very happy that you have decided to come back with defense briefing, and I will be watching this weekend very closely. Next week, we would like to also have defense join us all along the week. So I'm hoping that you both will create the time to be with us all along the week from Monday until Friday. We are having a news conference. It's going to be a free talk. We will try to create the possibility to have Amazonians call in live and make live contribution. So we are looking forward to this wonderful time next week. But as we make progress, we are about an hour into this program, and I want to apologize again that we started late. In the next 30 minutes from now, we will start receiving live calls. So get ready to be the first person to call. We might not take many calls. We want you to contribute. Particularly, we will take calls from the home front. Give your own idea. These are the strategies in front of your screen. You may want to talk to them. You want to tell them what you think, and you might just have the golden idea that they're looking forward to have. Give it to us. This is an opportunity. You're not going to be calling and saying that, okay, I've said this and nobody's doing it. Say it on national TV. It is your TV, the only TV owned by Amazonians 100%, and it's a time for you to talk. Now, let's move to the next level of this discussion. The defense chiefs are here. There's something I want us to talk about. Looking forward to strategy, looking forward to implementation, looking forward to actually bring back hope to the boys that are staking their lives on our behalf. So much has happened. We can never belabor much. If I start talking about what has happened just for 6 months, we might just finish this show by talking about it. So much has happened, mostly destructive, and there's some hope coming back, even though others are trying to take advantage of it. What are the two of you doing? I'll start with you, SOS Frank. What are you two doing to not just only to strategize to win, but to bring back hope? The other day I was communicating with you. Some of the boys are having accidents, fracture, and the government is spending a lot. You can want to give some details, not citing names, in terms of quality, quantity, and figures. What the government is investing just for healthcare and the defense on the ground. What are you doing to give hope, to inspire these boys, to energize them, reinvigorate them as they face the marauding enemies from French Cameroon?
Yes, the Department of Self-Defense being the liaison between our ARFs and the federal government, and equally being an oversight body working to see that the various defense councils at the county levels are doing their job. We have been strategically reorganizing our ARFs. We know the importance of the chain of command in everything we do. And it is our prerogative to make sure that the ARFs are able to respect ethically the rules and regulations of engagement. We are equally working with the ARFs to see how we can improve on our communication strategies. Prior to now, we've always had some challenges where some ARF churches are unable to liaison with their diaspora commander. We hold weekly meetings to make sure the diaspora commanders are reporting what is happening in their areas, and whatever we see that are shortcomings, we already jump on board to see how we can fix. Equally, the issue of funding, which we all know, has always been our biggest challenge. Yes, we rely on the support and goodwill of our people. We have been making sure these mega resources are equally properly managed by the restoration forces. A lot of wastage has been happening, and we are trying to cut down on that. Now, in terms of how things are run, the interim government, through the Department of Self-Defense and the Department of Health and Social Services, is liaisoning with all the counties to see that our wounded, not only soldiers on the ground, but equally affected populations, are attended to. We all know the cost of medical bills. We all see the injuries that our people are suffering every day. La Republique military, when they go in our communities, they don't go for the real people. They know they cannot come face to face with the restoration forces. And all they do is make sure they exercise their power on the civilians. We want to thank the SOS for HSS for their continuous support to see that our wounded, our sick, and even our bereaved families are given some attention. To the restoration forces, please, this interim government is here for you. For our wounded soldiers, for all our veterans who for one reason or the other are unable to actively be on the field, we stand with you. If you haven't heard from us, please reach out. You can reach us through anybody in the interim government. Connect with us, and we will be happy to be part of your daily life. We know your living conditions are not the best, but this interim government will always be there to support you. And for those, our restoration forces that are giving their all, we understand the challenges. We will fight to raise the funds and see how we can fund your activities. The president, our commander-in-chief, is working so hard to generate the resources that will go into this revolution. Do not be deceived by these coup plotters who will sound like they are able to do something, but they were just hoping to reap from where they never sowed. So stand with us, fight with us. The interim government is 100% ready to support the restoration forces, and we will see the results as we go along. Thank you.
Yes, Comrade Zama, please, you may want to add what is your appraisal of the status quo so far, and how do you think we can really inject some courage into these boys once more?
I think it's a symbiotic relationship that we have. These soldiers on the ground depend on us, and we depend on them to deliver Ambazonia to all of us. I just want to let everybody to understand that the HSS has never been able to discriminate about who is wounded, who gets treatment, or who doesn't. So long as an Ambazonian is injured, even people in the ADF and SOCADEF who are not necessarily fighting for this revolution, we treat them as Ambazonians. We may not see eye to eye with their ideology in fighting this war, but once they are wounded, we try to take care of them, even though their camp does not take care of them. We do have their backs. That's why we are here as the funders of this revolution. Some people, La Republique, may not like to hear that, but we will From the day they started killing young kids and killing mothers, I told myself, this is a fight that I must fight. We should fight this fight, and we are doing the best we can. All our soldiers, don't go to bed thinking if you are hurt, we may not help you. We will do the best we can to keep you safe, to keep you healthy in the conditions that you are in back home. The HSS, Dr. Emmanuel Tita, has been doing a tremendous job the last 4 years. We've been supplying the families in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Cameroon. Anybody who is hurt and who can reach out, we do some funding to help them to get through all the issues that they have. But at the end of the day, the idea is to mitigate all these injuries that we have by telling people to avoid areas where we have open conflicts, to avoid areas where the enemy is always hanging around, to avoid coverting and making life easy for the enemy. You just make yourself a target if you are going around with the enemy. Making their life easy in Ambazonia is telling them to stay. We want their life to be as hot as like a hotbed of fire. So they should go back where they are. If you are sleeping with them and giving them comfort, of course they will be here. They'll be there to kill our kids. They'll be there to kill our parents and mothers and sisters. We are asking all our soldiers, please understand that you are not each other's enemy. You are each other's keeper. Even those people you really have a difference in opinion with, the idea is not to turn your guns at each other, but be mindful who you associate with, because sometimes people are not the best people during war. They have very nefarious ideas in trying to sell you to the enemy. So be mindful. But as I said, this government has never looked back when it comes to taking care of Ambazonians who have been hurt. We take care of patients who otherwise should have been taken care of back home in our good hospitals, in Bingo Baptist, in Amanda General Hospital, but all those hospitals have been raided by the enemy. And we have to do things sometimes out of that context.
Yeah, I really like you've something that is so instrumental. Some Amazonians listening to it like perhaps they don't want to hear, but that's something I like about you, Ezama. It's your openness, your open-minded when it comes to the boys on the ground. This idea that there should not be a discrimination. I will start with you this time before I go to Frank, because I want you to talk on this. When you look at Efang, I think that's the name. I've tried to delete that name from my mind because he's one of those that have been killing our people. He's an ADF. He's very loyal to his chief in Norway. Now, if peradventure Efang happens to be among those wounded, I don't know if he's still fighting. Are you going to exert the same energy towards him? If yes, why? No, why? I'm talking to you, SOS Fram. Zama, please.
I still hold the feeling that we should treat every person in Amazonia as an individual. Their politics may be different. Even Efang, I will say if our soldiers see him bleeding in a battlefield, he should not be finished off, because that you cannot shoot a soldier who's been shot already. You will have to, by Geneva Convention, you have to take that patient out. We are not going after individuals in this interim government. We will target anybody who is targeting our people. If Efang, like most people, a lot of people in this revolution have been atrocious to the citizens of Ambazonia, and we led the citizens of Ambazonia to understand that we will move forward. We are not going to grind back. Efang knows what he's done. I've heard he's helped some as backup to some of our forces in Batibo. I hope that particular idea or the zeal for him to support this fight goes forward. He should not rely on his handlers in Norway that tell him to go kidnap people, which is against the principle why we started this war. They cannot go kidnapping elderly lady like Mrs. Mundi, who's been out there for more than a week now. place unknown where she is. Um, she could be killed. It wouldn't mean a thing to La Republique because we are all Anglophones. We are all Ambazonians, and it wouldn't mean a thing. So the idea of kidnapping a lady like that and with the ADF is not. It's really contrary to what we are fighting for. Going back to your question again, I still hold firm that if I see Efang bleeding, I'll tell our troops to pick him up and treat him. If he doesn't change his ways, they say you shower them with goodness, they could be good. We have to show people that we are people of rational thinking. We are people of goodwill, and that's the only way we're gonna get this thing going. We cannot go chasing people in a rat hole and doing evil for evil. We want to be better than the enemy. We want to be better. We want to carry the light. We want to shine it in the dark places of people's hearts. I'm not too much of a theologian but we have to do that. We have to do what we must do to be able to enlighten. We have to convince people with our arguments why we are fighting the war the way we are fighting it, especially with this IG. We cannot be vilifying everybody who stands against us. We have to bring them to reason why they should join us. We cannot go following Chris Anu all in his rat hole. He has so many rat holes, like they have so many pockets in a rat hole. We cannot go chasing all of that. We have to stay the course. We have to make our cause and our reason for fighting this war compelling to anybody who is supporting this fight. And remember, this fight we were invited. We did not invite ourselves. Our citizens in Ambazonia invited us to help them to get rid of the massacres that were already going on in Ambazonia in 2016. So we are doing this out of goodwill. We don't have no particular benefit. There are just some people thinking that, oh, you guys are over there, you're going to come. By the time anything happens, most of us are old guys and old ladies. We would lead these things to the people back home who are able to do what they have to do. We are holding this seat for you guys back home. And it's your genuine place. It's your place to take. And you have to fight to the death. Like Mr. Muna said, you guys have to fight to the death. If you don't fight, you don't want me to come and fight. We are doing the best we can do here. So it's your role, but be mindful. You have to be honest. You have to be straightforward and be objective.
Muna is another very dishonest person. A few days that was Ben Muna, right? Who made that statement.
I think so.
A few days after he made the statement, contradicted himself. You have said some very vital things, and it keeps escalating our discussion towards the direction that it should go. You just mentioned something. I don't think that SOS Frank would have to still talk on that attitude and the need as to why we need to galvanize the boys. I think that's the thought of the president, bringing the boys close to ourselves instead of pushing them away. Now, the thing that you brought up is this idea of or the AGOVC wants to argue that it is an arrest. And perhaps that can be a strategy in times of war. Perhaps that could be something that the ARFs would want to employ. And if that is employed, who should be a target? Who should be arrested? Who should not be arrested? Should an Ambazonian that is an enabler like Mundi, aged, be arrested? Should we target the Bulus that are in Amazonia? Should we even cross over to the Mongo to get some arrested? Who is to be arrested? How should this be done? Do we have logistics that will meet the Geneva Convention as to what you do to those that have been arrested? I think my worry as an individual is that the ADF has done arrest and has erased the people in front of camera. They are cops. Some have just been disappeared. And that's a problem. And then you find it being affiliated to the movement. And we might risk having the movement, oh, that's what Cameroon is pushing, that we should be called terrorists. So SOS, before we get into what Cameroon is pushing and how Biafra has been called by the UK as a terrorist, Let us find out from you, SOS Frank, how do you do arrest? For instance, you find someone who is a potential enabler and maybe has sold and has to be under the custody of the ARF, of the Amazonian Restoration Forces. What is the mechanism in place for that to be conducted? Do we endorse it? Is the interim government categorically against it? If the measure, what is it?
Uh, when it comes to citizen arrests, there are categories of arrests that the ARFs can do. The first category I'll talk about is the category of enablers. Enablers, as the Department of Self-Defense would define, are those that are within our territory or that are part of our territory, but their key function is aiding the enemy to overcome our quest. Now, such people we know are those we call our elites, and most recently, some members of the community who are just greedy and feel they can fill their pockets with either the sardine and bread or some chicken change that is not worth their life. In these circumstances, such people are committing treasonous activities, and those treasonous activities have the consequences of elimination, and those we don't play with. We do not have the capacity to arrest and hold. If we can justify that you are an enabler, then you pay the price. Because most enablers are always there tied out of our restoration forces. I speak this with a lot of examples. We have enablers that were even going on audios and telling the restoration forces what the enemy would do to them. And this same enabler was part of a face-to-face confrontation with our ARS when that enabler was leading the enemy military across our territory, spotting the houses of our restoration forces or their families. The question is, in this situation, do you think if an arrest is made, is worth keeping that individual? No, it's unfortunate. And happily, the enabler was taken out. Now, if an enabler is arrested, typically what the department does is there should be a clear-cut report of what is happening or what that enabler has done with evidence. If there are no evidence, we strongly recommend that enabler be investigated before any decision is made. Now, the second class of arrest is citizen arrest for those that are not respecting the laws of the land. For example, on a ghost town day, on a country Sunday, or on a lockdown, you are roaming the streets and you are picked up. That can lead to an arrest that they may hold you for 24 to 48 hours and typically let you go. I know some restoration forces have, in circumstances like this, been able to hold for more than 48 hours because they were not able to finish the investigation to prove that you were just innocently out there. But if the investigation turns out that you were playing the role of an enabler, then you will pay the price of an enabler. There's another category under this civil arrest where you are unable to effectively support the revolution. Our people back home, we understand they are going through a lot. But those that are able to support the revolution are expected to at least show some goodwill. Sometimes the ARF may come across you and they find out that you have not been supporting, or your family has completely not been supporting. If you are an Ambazonian, or you are within the territory of Ambazonia, and you cannot support the restoration forces that are providing the basic security of that community, it means you are siding with the oppressor. So in those circumstances, if the ARFs come across you, they may be able to find you to say you need to support them. Some people, when they are picked up in those circumstances, they immediately call to say they have been kidnapped. There is a difference between a kidnap that somebody is expecting you to do 100,000 francs support, and a kidnap like what happened a few days in Mezam, where the couple was picked up and the boys were demanding 55 million. You can see the clear difference. And if you look at the case of Mamundi, you equally see the demands are in millions. Those can be categorized as kidnap. But those that are asked to support within their community, those are not kidnapped. Those are just citizen arrests for you to meet up with obligations for us to sponsor this war on us. I want to thank the quarter heads that have been able to liaison with the restoration forces so that their quarter can support from time to time, even with foodstuff. We know our parents, they don't have the physical money or enough money to even give the restoration forces. But the leader they give, please, restoration forces, respect them and accept that, so that that should not be under a category of holding them against their will to give you some ransom. I hope that answered your question, Paddy. You are mute, please. Paddy on mute. Yep. Thank you.
Sorry for that. I muted. I'm multitasking and producing at the same time. Okay, I think that you were very elaborate on that, and you even went to lengths that I didn't expect. I'm following the comment section of Ambazonians. Before we get to that, I want SOS Zama to add to what you just said, please.
It's I don't think it's something that we can elaborate too much about it, because it's a binary decision. You are either with Ambazonia or you are not with Ambazonia. That's just the decisions we have to make. There are some people who've opted not to be with Ambazonia. There are some people who've said, "Oh, that one I think Ambazonia, when I come on me for that, that one I think you just say you go ever walk." Well, they've opted not to. They've opted not to see the dream. They've opted not to even dream the dream. So we are going to let these people go. So provided they don't stand in our way. But when they do stand in our way, we have one way to deal with it. We will have to bulldoze any object, any obstacle that we have in our way to Boya. And sometimes it may be our family members, sometimes it may be our neighbors, sometimes it may be our priest, sometimes it may be the enemy. We have to do all that. We are at war, and sometimes drastic measures are taken. As SOS Frank has stated, I cannot elaborate more than he had done regarding what the enablers should be dealt with. But we want to make people understand that we do not kidnap people. We get funding from our citizens. Those groups that do not have any funding from anybody, they deal with kidnapping. And they are not accountable to anybody. And they sit somewhere in Europe and tell people to kidnap and hold people. I've had even spoken to some of the soldiers who might have been involved in the kidnap, and they are saying, oh, Ayaba has to make the decision whether to let the lady go, live, or die. That should not be a decision that the soldier in the field who is purportedly fighting for a liberation should instead go in search of money because they cannot get funding from a free people of Amazonia. But as we said, we will keep moving. We will keep looking at these people. The kidnappers are a definite threat to our people, and they will not be treated any different from the La Republic citizens who are out in Amazonia to kill and harm our citizens. So we have to be firm with that. The kidnappers may be La Republic people, they may be Amazonians, but we have to protect the citizens of Amazonia, as I said, even those who do not see with us in this war. The fact that somebody doesn't see you does not necessarily mean that you have to kill them. You have to go back and re-educate them. And I'm pulling this, it may be a point that may not be very popular out there, but there are some people who have decided they're not going to support us. That is a group of people we don't want even to disturb. Let them be where they are. Let them stay out of Amazonia. That's the best decision they can make for themselves. So far as they're in Amazonia, they cannot be against us. We will like the fact that they can stay away neutral, fine, but they cannot be against us. In a war up to the point that they put on military uniform and they go and point out our hideouts and all whatnot. It's rather cynical when we have some of our chiefs, some of our elites go into like Ngala in Kambe and goes around and show people where the families and kidnap families because they think their soldiers, their children are fighting this war. Those are for self-interest. They are not doing that for the interest of Amazonians. Those are self-interested people. They do things for themselves. And we have to do that. We have to address that, and we have to mitigate that. And sometimes we have to do what we have to do at war. People die at war. And that's what war is for. You kill your enemy.
Okay, that what you just said there, those you have just agreed with a lot of things SOS Frank has said. He's mentioned about the different categories, and you have in your own language really placed them in that category. Amazonians, ladies and gentlemen, in a few minutes we're gonna start taking your calls, and that number on the screen, you can start calling in a few minutes as we move into the last phase of this discussion. I will not take many calls, and I want to emphasize you can call only on WhatsApp, and the people you're looking forward to talk to, they are all here. They want to talk to you. They want to listen to you. One of our daddies on the home front just indicated he will be calling soon. So for those of you watching, it's time for you to call in as I get to the last phase of this discussion. And now we need to talk about the future a little bit. But before we even talk about the future and to conclude, we're planning to rekindle the draft within just a very short time. I would say under 3 weeks. In spite of what Coopers are doing, the president has been able to mobilize close to 70,000 US dollars to push. And he said for himself is to make sure that before the real thing We are people at time. We have seen the fighters responding. Are you satisfied? I want to start with you, SOS Frank. So far, based on what you have, before you even talk about your satisfaction, are you confident with what you'll be able to do come next week as far as the lockdown is concerned?
Thank you once more. Yes, as concerns the lockdown, we have no fear that the lockdown will be perfectly observed. Our little worry is our civilians should not put their life at jeopardy at any time for that old dictator who is in diaper. So I am calling on all Ambazonians to respect and stay at home on the 19th and 20th. In the days ahead, every general will be coming out to send an audio in the language best to their community. That will just be to reiterate the fact that the 19th and the 20th will be deadly. So please watch out and keep your ears open. Moving, besides that, we have done everything within our capacity as a department to make sure logistically the restoration forces are ready to implement the 19th and the 20th. Before the 19th, go on with your business, make sure everything is safe, and keep track of your timing. 19th, 20th, no movement, please. Now, concerning the success we have pulled together within the last 3 weeks or so, I want to thank the Department of Resource Mobilization and all those that were involved with the National Emergency Fund Drive. You know, talk is cheap, but Ambazonians can see that Dr. Samuel Ekomesako is up to the task. Just the National Emergency Fund Drive has pulled over $75,000. Yes, Ambazonians still have a lot of faith in this interim government. And for those who think they can derail this struggle and move it back to Yaoundé, they are making a big mistake. I am more than satisfied with the outcome of the emergency funds. If you doubt it, let's put the statistics together. Early this year, the president announced Lava Storm 3, and we were able to pull a little over $50,000 from that. While we were busy raising this money, coup plotters decided to hit the treasury because after all their plans, their goal was to sit on top of the money. You took away 130 something thousand, and you got to block the rest just because you think you are in control or you have the final say. I believe if these individuals were really committed or serious, they should be developing their own brand, not trying to copyright somebody's brand that is working so hard to keep this revolution on track. So between January and now, If you put the math together, we are already a little over 130,000. Can a president that is failing be able to do that? The Coopers, when they
No.
came up at the beginning of their show, go back to the records. Their town halls, they were pulling 500 plus people. Do you know why? Because those were the enablers that were coming to wheel the vehicle to Yaoundé. The few that were just confused and following like sheep have suddenly found themselves left with less than 50 now in their meetings. And the 450 has taken the wagon and they are already approaching Yaoundé. But unfortunately for them, we did not blink. So we are back on track. We are so happy,
Yes, we have
and we are determined.
We have.
Yep.
Yes, we have somebody from the ground, and Dr. Zama will elaborate on that. We'll talk, baby. I think this daddy wants to talk to us, and he may have some things for
please
to talk on. He's a caller from the ground. Daddy calling from precisely from a home front.
Yeah, from home front, from the county.
Okay, the Mezam. You go ahead. What's your contribution to the two gentlemen that are listening?
Actually, I don't have a question. I just wanted to react on this issue of something we've seen circulating home front by one lady, they call her Baby Marianta, giving 5 days punishing his own people, and she calls herself what I don't really know. And then on that 5 days, she has written no mercy, no pity, no regret. That means she doesn't regret punishing his own people home front. She doesn't have any mercy punishing his people home front. And she's pity, just like that, on the people of home front. So I just laugh at the people who think that what she has written something good. She has exposed her stupidity, exposed the foolishness of some of the people like Chris Anno who support, and the group of, let me say,
I would rather say that Chris Anno inspire her.
Not aware whether I inspire her or not, but it's very stupid. How do you punish your people and give them 5 days without any reason? And you don't have any mercy when you're suffering her, and that you don't regret it. Appreciate it. But thanks very much. I just want to call and congratulate you for the 2 days, which is reasonable. Go to us home front will take the 2 days, 19 to be a day to frustrate the rehearsals. And then the 20 to ignore the day as a non-event and nobody goes out. Just all. It is fair enough. Somebody does not understand the 19 and 20, that person should be marked in the head. 19 and 20 should be the real day. But these 5 days that you give to people, you don't regret, don't have any mercy on the people, and no pity. It's up there. I'm sorry to say this. And people who take to what they have written, I think I'm not in the head, but God has exposed them to write that rubbish they have written. God has exposed them to write the rubbish they have written. You don't claim that you are taking care of people and you don't have mercy on them. You put the watching of the 5 days.
Yeah.
Nobody can explain. But 2 days can be well explained. The first day, which is 19, it's for 3 years. By not even come out of the house, they do it foolishly and go that way.
Yeah.
Then the day of the day which is May, we ignore, and it is a non-event.
Yeah.
As simple like that. You can't just tell that they are tolerant, or just tell them that my home phone has rubbish and nobody's going to take about it. And there's one thing I must tell you, is that what they will do is to come out that day and sporadic making and frightening people all that. We are already aware of all that. We are aware of all that sporadic shooting will perpetually together to do all the shooting to frighten people. But they are wasting their time. They have exposed themselves, they have disgraced themselves, and they have stupefied themselves. Good night.
Thank you very much, Daddy, for calling. So, as Zama, before you read, I want to, okay, someone is calling. Caller, just stay a little bit. Caller, just wait for a moment. I want to read out something an intelligence report that is coming on from the home front right now. I read it. The colonial governor Lele Afrique for the Midland Savannah Zone has declared through their CRTV today that Paul Biya has given bikes to vigilante groups, that is, enablers, kidnappers, and killers of our people for a hitch-free May 20th May. So you now see what is happening, why we must have the lockdown so that those individuals are identified and they face the wrath of the restoration forces. Mayor is on live. Yes, Mayor Kare, you are live on ABC Amba TV. Do you want to make a contribution?
Yes, thank you very much. I want to start by thanking SOS Zama and SOS Man for for job well done. Wish to also thank you and your team for providing the platform and technical know-how for us to be able to put out this message to our viewers and to everyone else out there. Yes, I just want to say add that the people who are declaring a 5-day lockdown are sending out a very, very clear message. What is that message? The message is that they are angry with our people for supporting the struggle. And so they are joining the enemy to punish the people. So I thought that it's very, very important that our people get this message clearly. They are angry at our people for supporting the struggle because they would have wanted that the struggle should be over. They would have wanted that we should be more lenient to the enemy. They wanted that we should be closer to Yaoundé by now. And our people are delaying the journey to Yaoundé, their journey to Yaoundé, by supporting the struggle, by obeying the lockdown, by providing intelligence, by providing donations and other resources, by respecting lockdowns and so on. And so for that, they are very, very angry at the people, and that is their way of punishing the people. Declaring a 5-day lockdown is punishment on the people. That is their message. I thought that it would be very important that will help our people to decode this message. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. says Zama, there are some things you would have wanted to comment earlier on. Why we take the next caller? Perhaps you want to make that contribution now.
Well, still, to be honest, it still baffles me to see people still wondering if a 2-day or a 5-day is the effect of what we should do. I'm telling anybody can do their own front to fight this war with La Republique. But this is what we've staked to the people of Amazonia. We will not be out there on the 19th and the 20th. Our soldiers are going to be out there to reinforce and enforce any person or a violator of that. Lele Afrique has been a gangster that has been representing the Republic of Cameroon and Amazonia for quite some time. And he's been able to be there basically because of the atrocity that he gives to the Mbunda boys. He buys them bikes and they come in and they betray our people. Since these bike riders can go into deep into into areas where are not accessible by car, they get to know a lot of intimately the community. So we should be able to start.
Go ahead, sir.
We should be marking up these people and know how to deal with them as soon as they come in.
Yeah, we have another caller here from the home front caller. Where are you calling from, please?
The call from Victoria and Papa.
Okay, go ahead. What did happen for Victoria today? How will not prepare for lockdown? You get a question or you get a contribution to make. Go ahead. Go right ahead, please.
Big contribution for me. I'll be very happy for say. Yeah, I'll be very happy because the defense people and SSS they do for the. Which I want try for talk and say taking into consideration the geographic location for neighbor. I believe say we'll get a lot of lapses. We'll get a lot of lapses if maybe security team they understand how the country be situated. You understand say the security situation for that country be very lacking. So we don't make the security situation be lacking now because of bribery and corruption. So a lot of areas they still be enclave. So at the time I say they see for hasty so that means the pressures because so far so good the security thing was strategized for CC need pressure they come to from that people from their own people.
Okay.
For more pressure. So that they feel when they are for the same pressure for them because they are the problem that they are 80%. Mean that 80% pressure. That 80% might be the truth about you, the security team why you understand I see. No matter how that you newly recruited military they keep on dying. He died for home front with the defend all people there for cheer. One thing we said the family they know will talk why because that people they die, that young boy they go fight die. Their salary they still pass, their women they still take up. If you imagine was 6 years, you never hear say some military man and woman don't strike. You never hear say some China man and woman or family don't strike. No, because collect money for their picking them. They say nationally, say you proud to me, I begin go there, you keep on collect money.
Yeah.
And that state of condition are because of poverty.
Yeah.
So they hope the security team now for change the narrative.
The narrative.
Yeah, not towards the they give a change and not to the layman them. I believe say the smart team with the security people they put in place. Me they not just end around the close borders. Me they move far. Because even to the interior, if you move any part, whether not from south, whether not from east, whether not from north, whether not from Damawa, whether not from extreme from far north, you realize a bit porous.
Your point don't be got you, my brother. I think take the next caller. So let me react to this your point before we take the next caller.
Yes, Papa, I want to highlight something again.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
The security team can work to on. Use their own people there. They say they move into the semantic move into some areas then. They recruit their own then commit them for a mission, a ghost mission where they don't know who they commit them, but they will do it because of why poverty. Poverty for that country. So people they know they think do anything, even if they will take down some strategic structures for their own side. When they will start feed that hit, they will mount pressure, and I believe people will do something because these people, from their own culture, they are people they must feed before they do something. Not in order to say they will feed them and they do something. They must feed that before they do something.
Okay.
That one time for the system.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Do you people want to contribute to that, and then I'll take the next person. Amazonian Bobo has been trying to call. Please, after this caller, please, and go ahead. I'm listening to your contribution on that.
Yes, I think I want to thank both callers, starting with the caller from Mid Atlantic. Like we said at the beginning of this show, we will never do a lockdown for show of force. We will never do a lockdown just to punish our people. No. And that is why this is the people's interim government. We are representing the people. I feel your pain. I feel your suffering. So every decision I take from the bottom of my heart, it should be very, very clear that if I were in your position, I should be able to take that with a pinch of salt. So we will never, unless our territory is held on a long and continuous evaluation by the enemy, like an election that is taking place for a couple of days before we can do an extensive lockdown to hinder the enablers from running in and trying to go around to do their campaign. Besides that, the point is very clear. We all know on the 19th has always been that 20th May Eve that a lot is happening. When I was a young man back in the day, what happens on the 19th? We go out for what we call the camphor march or camphor fire or whatever. We march through the town. We get to one school. We put together the wood that we picked up from our various locations, and we do a camphor fire. We do a fire chart, But then all
And
that
SOS
was
Frank,
because
S,
yes.
or yes, SOS Frank, I just like the fact that you brought in that point. I'm sorry for that interruption. Um, it is important for people to see how that the enemy took us to use us as a spaceman to provoke us. Like it is a day of enslavement, and they enjoy actually seeing us being enslaved, give instructions to our schools, and through our schools, everybody will have to march, and we are preparing to celebrate the day that we were enslaved. Think about 1 minute. It's so frustrating. Now,
Oh,
SOS Zama,
oh.
I want you to just chip in a little bit on this idea of what this Amazonian that just spoke from Victoria. He is saying that you people consider escalating this thing into French Cameroon, into La République du Cameroon, as a way of increasing the pressure on them. I don't know if you guys have any idea on that. I don't know if you're comfortable to say that in public, but do you want to just quickly say that we have Ochiba on the line willing to make a contribution?
I think they have enough pressure right now, um, because if we want to put more screws to their coffin, it's basically to make an exodus of their citizens from Amazonia. And that can easily be done. Once they have that pressure of people moving back to their own hometown, and then they'll be agitating, of course. But we have in our community people who are not willing to take that step. Or I will not say they are not willing. We have been a benevolent people. We have been kind people. We have provided shelter to
Yeah,
people from
Amazonians are loving.
all areas. So we haven't been able to
Yeah.
look back of that kindness of our own heart. Uh, so we tend not to be. If you've seen all this war all along, there's not been a single civilian who is French speaking or that has been hurt, who is not a soldier.
Okay.
We've
Yeah.
not directly gone to harm their citizens.
And
But to
they
put it in
continue.
perspective,
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
to put it in perspective, the gentleman who said we will put more pressure on them. Cameroon is on its knees right now. We just need to push her to her face because they don't have no money in their treasury. I don't think if they don't have money to pay teachers and doctors and all or not who are leaving, they will have money to pay for the debt. It's just in their nature not to fight for nothing. Every political and economic forces that have pushed Cameroon forward has been on the backs of the Amazonians. They've demanded from freedom of speech to free assembly to democratization, multipartism, educational reform, legal reform, has all been spearheaded by the Amazonians. We are grown up, we are grown and tired picking up these people.
Yeah.
They should fight for their own. They should fight for their own liberation. It's if they've decided to live their life in misery. Most of them are born in misery, and they die in misery. We shouldn't be trying to foster them. They should move on their own. Because if you go to Yaoundé, Yaoundé is as filthy as it was in 1960. Nothing has changed,
Yeah.
and they've not made anything to decide to change their lot. We shouldn't be doing that for them. But the conditions that they have on the
Yeah.
ground right now, they'll be compelled to make decisions that will be coming from the bottom, not from the top.
And SOS, as you can see, like you said, our people are benevolent, loving, While we're doing this, they are still inflicting pain. And the news 2 weeks ago, we reported of a situation in BMC where just because they were Anglophones, like they call us, they were maltreated, beaten, and almost killed. We have that report, and it's an evidence that we are fighting Cameroon's attitude. Now we have Ochiba Nelson online. Our people are calling. We're going to take a few more calls. And Ochiba Nelson, you have a brief moment to make your contribution or ask a question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Paddy. You did hear me?
Yes, very loud and clear. Sonia is listening to you.
Okay. Yeah, so I did throw a salute for all mommy and papa were a day for home front. I want just to remind one. Talk say when I don't hold La Republic past the 2 weeks when La Republic a big jam for now. And say, make sure say, make una not come when I find soup, when I take a throw am inside basket or mokota back. When I win La Republic, and that war, La Republic na the occupier, and that war, La Republic na the chief man, and when international mediation, it will be. Some person if you can't TV your land, TV your property, then you don't talk with you, check say for you, enough jam. Any leader, any person, where you go make backdoor talks that will not, where you go talk for Baba with the Republic, check say they want solve the reason why when I don't die for they do all those things, and that leader is fight now for you. This thing na international community where if you can't drum up, they give like outside, they give outside. Now so them they will come for the Swiss talk where we will go separate them for the. We're not the fight for West Cameroon. We're not the fight on other ethnic. All the other people them where they deny the Swiss talks, they deny international mediation. All them are unionists. Whether they been a fish unionist, they been a confederate unionist, whether they been a special status unionist, and all
Confucianist.
Yes, may we not listen for them because you nothing get your house inside your quarter, your papa get house or quarter, the neighbor get your own house. Then the info neighbor and they can't chakara or papa your house, don't say you can't go to sleep for their own house. It not work like that. So me take care very well. Because people are there when they go to the Republic for back and they say they don't want the no government. It means they don't want no Amazonia. They say independent and abstract. And yet when they listen for them, when I don't know say this one people when they want carry when I forgot sell for the Republic. Some of them they talk for outside they say they want unity warriors. Me all fight as a car for unite. But whereas the internal government don't want create the team up where all the leaders that they get for unite for day. Why they not go unite for inside team up? Then they can't tell now when I for down they say me when I go unite for unity warrior for work at the key when I brothers and sisters. If a leader be being a correct leader, they will talk say you don't get nothing to do with the Republic. Go for international mediation for court. When person not pass you already go now for court. They settle the matter for the even I say Tima will TV you go inside your house say you want to settle for the La Republic full way for 1961.
Enough of full way again.
1990. Full way again, all that for national dialogue special, all those things. How many times when they will fool you when we fool now? We not talk say we want to protect with people, defend with territory, which way it belongs to us. Now why that will never go for even La Republic? And now why that when the internal government don't put lockdown for 2 days, the 19 and 20, because they don't want to punish people. People when they call one win and say they want to make people in their face so that they go against the revolution. A year and I say even ADF, Bamenda and a dirty flop all side. They don't go deny me, they don't carry dirty. So that me, Colora and other papas, they need to keep people for Bamenda for this. That for Bamenda. That is how the enemy it work. So Amazon, when I firm with them win, with the win, with them firm, any person join the LGA country, we want to restore Amazonia. We don't want to restore an individual. We don't want to restore the National Party for La Republic. CPM La Republic will not get any elite in the times of revolution, not they get a different why you elite or whosoever. I mean, some man can fool and don't say even the elite when they talk on our behalf at time on plenty.
Thank you very much. Okay, there's another caller on the line. Hello, caller, can you hear me? A lot of people are calling. You just wait. We will take a few more calls. Caller, can you hear me? Okay, since you can, yeah, taking the next caller. Ambazonian Baba has insisted a couple of times. Please, it's your turn to speak as we round off. Yes, SOS, you've heard what Ochiba is saying there. What do you have to say? This is your day to talk. And I want to announce to you, fellow Amazonians, on the Saturday at exactly 6 p.m. Amber time, we will all be live with this defense briefing. You will have this gentleman there giving you a briefing of what is happening. Yes, Ambassador, you are now connected. You are talking to the nation. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good now, even if Amazonia.
Even for Amazonia, rightly. Great panelists to the great information as always. I will just write something today for social media. Say those where they get gone, those where they get the forces, those where they get a structure where international where recognize them. I mean international where they hope in the Republic of the Switzerland. They don't declare 2 days lockdown on the 19th and on the 20th. In fact, Ground Zero don't get the information very well. And this message, I want to for Ground Zero.
Home front, home front, home front.
Home front, home front, home front. Say, information, all man don't get information. You don't even believe it.
We lost Ambazonian Bobo there. Yes, go ahead, please. Okay. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you, Jolly so, bro. Thank you very much. You know, so you always been a man way. You always talk. So we'll definitely next week will be every day way. We go want me all not join for the I announce them again for people whether they watch for home front. I want talk say next week starting for day number 1 when on Monday. We go get which we'll call them for grammar say news conference. The one now for not be just normal news where you come give everyday report. The one now for make sure say all man when you listen to we, all we people them go get the chance for even pick in the go hear for people like Pa Augustine Dangam, the go hear for mommy like Dr. Bridget Tebo, the go hear for plenty people how they go talk for we Ambazonia what to be go to true history. We go school write GCE and realize what you have right for GCE and what we are know today. We be on our teeth. So we want to take opportunity for that next week for debunk that thief, for come against that thief. So talk the way people talk say, one way for erase an information or for change information and for replace them. Cameroon don't teach you a bad history. Today, thank God, say Dr. Sakoda Maker will get on television where it maintain will call on them, it maintain with true story. So we will teach you now the real history, then we will learn them. SOS Frank, you want to give your conclusion, small talk as the people listen for you before we call round up, we call off the day.
Thank you, Comrade Paddy. Make I talk now for country talk. I want salute with people them for home front, their effort for make this struggle where would they inside make it work a fine. I want thank with mommy and with papa them where they hear the voice for their picking them and they respect the small thing the way this interim government it ask we for do 'em. I want equally thank with ARF them. Say they don't sacrifice everything for stand up for defend our motherland. For that one, we thank them plenty. Make nothing enough slow them down because with the wind so big and the enemy it be so confused now. Yes, you know say when you be successful, they go one find the only person inside house may na he kill you because enemy for outside don't try in no worker. So I dey tell with people them make everybody be vigilant. Una dey see am with una eye. About 2 weeks ago, they be don start some new one where Yaounde be dey take their last pocket money, say na last 5 days, make una go buy una community them. Make they turn around for desecrate which way they don't support them by arresting their own picking them, giam for una, enable them, make una sacrifice them. So when that be start, we be tell the community say wait, say enough it happen. That chicken change where they give you, your life be better than that. Make una stop that kind of fashion. Because any man will go do that one, na he coven, he don't buy them. I want to thank our people. Say they listen to that cry. Say make them not take that blood money. They sell their brothers and sisters and they are picking them. I know say the enemy in over tire. It is still work plenty strategy them. But every time it want plan strategy, we for this interim government would be 5 steps ahead. So we go to counter all that strategy them. We go to tell una what they happen, and we go try to make we protect una the much we can. I want to tell we again say, no way, no day, where we go lock down the territory for 5 days because we not get any reason. The 2 days where we don't lock down the territory, number 1 day, now say that campfire, where they be the always full we move the march on that 19 for go Bonham for say we prepare for big day when at 20th, it no go happen. And then on that 20th, nobody no go come outside as a matter of fact, make you buy a piece pocket, keep her inside house. Because that time where you go to find good for good piece, something will happen where it go worry you. Yes, just that today, if you get lucky, no over chop, so that may your belly no push. So that may the mini run go as I say one go shit. Because you don't know what will happen. And finally, I want to tell you parents, say me they know. Lele and Free don't always use that technique for bring family care picking them where they there for Bunda side with Okada them for come turn inside with territory, like saying that with Okada riders them, they don't the same ghost town no, you know who. This lockdown, any Okada way is circulate for outside, we go shoot them aside. So don't even dare it. If that family care people then go enter
I want me to
inside
repeat
with
that statement
territory,
where you make them again. You say any Okada way show, repeat them again. You say any Okada show, any Okada, any Benzikin, any motorbike rider, you say wait, you repeat them.
any Okada, Benzikin, bicycle, or even leggages, if you use your food worker, we go put them down. Now 19 and 20 will the talk. Before the 19, go about your business. No worry yourself. But on the 19, on the 20, lock your door. If Lele Afrik tell you say, may you come out, I go talk say, may you first ask him, may he come out yourself. And if you want come out, make you not wear gun proof. Make you not enter a car. Make it be bold enough for Waka yourself for sure say he be commander-in-chief for that territory. Then you go see thing where Gorola go do. Because we go chop your intestine them. Make him know that one. And make nobody no fall for that. Thank you plenty. Because this interim government
Thank you,
get
sir.
una back.
So Matt take the one headline news. You know, say my I did for news business, so I pick now only headline. Number one, get your piece pocket. If you do small fasting so that you don't chop plenty. Number two, make sure say something no fly because of chop your intestine. I don't talk my own go finish. SOS, please, you go make your contribution right after this person. Caller, you get 90 seconds, please.
Oh yeah, hi Paddy. Thank you. And my name is Anye.
Okay.
From New Mexico.
Okay, go ahead, please. Make your contribution.
Yes, I was not there at the beginning of the show. I'm sure they might have said one or two things about what I'm about to ask, but I think there are things that concern me a little bit. So since they're here, they can still throw more light on it when they're running up.
Okay. I think SOS Zama is listening. He's gonna crown that up. So go ahead.
So why do we still have the enemy informants within our communities feeling comfortable betraying us and doing whatever they're doing? If we're looking at Ukraine,
Yeah.
we know what they do to them. So
Okay.
why do we have to make ourselves feel as if our IG is too lenient and too humanistic to the people?
Now, when you talk about the enemy's informant, are you talking about those in the diaspora or at the home front?
No, home front.
Okay, you're talking about the community enablers within our communities.
We know they are the ones informing. When they're talking about bringing bikers, they
Yeah.
are their relatives, they are people that they're bringing in, and they live within our communities, and they ride into our villages and all of that.
Okay.
Why are they comfortable?
SOS.
We have.
I think this is the big question for you today. We've attempted to talk about that. You mentioned the Exodus, and this is just in sync of that. Perhaps you want to enforce on your opinion about the mass exodus of enablers, of those that are informants. He has used the word informants. You want to explain the mechanism that you think this government should employ to get them packing.
Go
ahead. Thank you. Thank you,
I
Kola.
think several years ago, I'd written a text on information regarding this particular situation. Our people are so comfortable that they are still drinking their wine, they are still drinking their beer, they are still eating, they are still having sex with their wives, and all not in the time of war. They are not having that shared sacrifice that some of our soldiers are sacrificing to liberate Amazonia for all of us. But it's going to be incumbent on us to decide from neighborhood to neighborhood who stays or who leaves. Because if we make it a decision that nobody who is not supposed to be in Bamenda or in Victoria or in Manfe or in Tico uh, should stay, if they don't have any place to rent, they cannot work in Tico or in Bamenda. If they don't have any place to rent, they cannot go to school in Bamenda. Um, so it's incumbent on us to decide if we want short-term benefit in sacrifice of a long-term benefit, or vice versa. It's not something that we can unilaterally enforce. Least they will say we are barbaric because people are gonna be hurt. But we are asking our people to look at their best interest, because the short-term interest is a short-term interest and it's individualistic. It's not communal. We are asking our people to look within themselves and start doing what they must do for us to have a shorter war. Because the more these people are coming in, the more they are reluctant to leave, because they start engaging into business, they start engaging into love relationships and marriages, and their children start having this ambivalent feeling between, oh, my father is from here, my mother is here, so I'll be neutral. We do not want no neutrality in this business. You are either with us or you are not with us. And so as soon as our people can make that decision, who is for this war and who is not, then we'll know how quickly we can end this war. Because it suffices to move these people out of Amazonia at any cost that it must be. I know the hesitation that people are saying, oh, we have people in East Cameroon who are living in Yaoundé and Douala, they're gonna do the worst. People will lose homes in Yaoundé, they will lose homes in Bamenda. That's just the war, that's just the effects of war. People lived in Ethiopia and they fought the war with Eritrea. What happened to Eritreans who were in Ethiopia? They moved back to Eritrea. And what happens to Ethiopians who were in Eritrea? Some of them decided to stay there. Some of them decided to move. It's the same thing that happened in India and Pakistan. There were Muslims in Pakistan and there are Muslims in India. You choose where you want to choose. There are just some Amazonians that are going to be planted in East Cameroon, and so be it. They can live there. That's not a problem. We just have to understand that our primary objective is to secure Amazonia for Amazonians. And that's the goal of this IG. And we are asking all those people who are busy searching for some tree to hang on to fight this war. The IG is there. We are stretching our arms to embrace every collective in this war to be able to fight this war as one person. But if those who are willing to drag us down, we are going to cut that arm pretty quick to let us go. As Amazonians, we are asking all of you, as you go to bed, look forward to supporting your neighbors. Look forward to get those neighbors who are betraying the cause to part ways with their evil ways, and move this struggle forward. We are not trying to coerce people. We are not trying to injure people, but we are trying to beg for the good senses of our citizens. But sometimes you have to asphyxiate people enough for them to have the reaction that you want.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Amazonians, ladies and gentlemen, the two SOS for defense that were here this night. I called you with a very brief notice, and you decided you were going to come to talk to your people. Patriotic servants, you are all busy men in your offices. You still created the time to speak to Amazonians. These are men that are worth listening to. These are educated people. These are financially buoyant men. These are people with a vision. These are people who love their nation and they want to fight for it. And they are serving under the vision of President Sako with so much excitement and with so much passion. Thank you, gentlemen, for opting to talk to your people tonight. Amazonians that have been watching on the social media, Facebook, home front, we understand that there are some technical issues, I'm sure, maybe on the satellite. Those that are watching in the home front are complaining that they are unable to get our sound. We will talk with our technicians to verify that, and hopefully by the time you have other programs coming up with Pastor Commando tomorrow and Undaunted News tomorrow, we have as breaking a very vital aspect with Undaunted. We're going to have the Amazonian women and some other very special guests to interview. The Amazonian women been invited here in the United States on a big platform to talk, and there is a chance that they will be talking, and Kamala Harris, the Vice President of the United States of America, will be listening to them. This night we have spoken a lot. We've given to you reasons why you must boycott the 20th May, starting from the 19th, and that's the only voice you should listen to. Forget about wannabes, forget about Coopers, forget about those seeking to show some relevance. Their decisions can only tell you there are people that are not focused. There are people working for the enemy. They want to put you on a fatigue. And like the SOS have all mentioned here tonight, if there is need, if the enemy is planning something we see strategic, it could be extended. But for now, intelligence has it that you can stay home only from the 19th to the 20th. And that is what we are talking about. Today, we are challenging Coopers. I understand Mr. Anu, in his obvious mannerism to lie, is trying to give to you reasons, trying to make you feel that there is any point. Challenge them. I'm challenging you today on air. Tell them that we are requesting for a counter suit. Yes, we are requesting for a counter suit. Somebody just informed me now on WhatsApp that he's trying to claim that whatever Dr. Sako is doing in the litigation process is a mere threat. Chris Anu should open his big mouth and speak. This is the time for him to speak. If it is a mere threat, they were the ones that had evidence against the president. We thought before now they would have filing cases. You had Dr. Epa trying to deceive Amazonians on the La Republic created TV given to Arno to manage. He was telling Amazonians that they will take Dr. Sako to court, that Dr. Sako should try. And even one lady in the UK made a comment, which I saw some, I'm talking about Comfort Kung Fu. She said if Dr. Sako tries, he's going to go to prison. We are waiting for you. It's a challenge to you to come and talk to Arno, to Marianta Abongwa. This is a time, if you have any legal standing, if you think that Amazonia Foundation decision to take you guys to court was not legal, place a counter suit and also send a document, and we'll publish it on this platform. But until then, shut your big mouths up and stop deceiving and manipulating Amazonians. We are not just talking, we are matching our words with actions. The president is still raising monies. Coopers were hoping that by some proxy, by their criminal element that was within the treasury that had been given opportunity to manage our finances, I'm talking about Richard Tango, Blessed Chair, they were hoping that by some means, whatever promises they gave to you was going to be funded with money that they did not contribute. No way. They will not touch the money. One of these days, as the courts will be making the decisions after their investigation, the president will have access to that money and it will go down to the home front. That notwithstanding, resource mobilization is doing it big. It's raising money. Perhaps we may have them. We may have resource mobilization on the news again. I'm talking about the news recap on Saturday to talk to us again about what is happening with finances and what will be happening. Perhaps next week, we may also have to make some donations, necessary donations during the news conference. I'll be consulting with the Secretary of State for Communications and IT. I'll be consulting with the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Amazonia to explain the need for some of these activities. And I'll be consulting with resource mobilization to create a framework for us to do some of it. You Amazonians have kept this TV alive because you know that this television is your television. 100% it belongs to you. You're smart enough not to put your money into a man's private TV. SCBC attempted that with some certain individuals in South Africa wanting to own shares, and you said no. Mr. Arnold is now coming up, and you have said no. He thought that via thievery, via some clandestine means, taking money for Lava Storm was going to help him fund his television. No way. Perhaps Bankwi can give him enough funds. He should go to Yaoundé. If Yaoundé thinks now that he's very irrelevant, he has always been irrelevant, but because Yaoundé also has demented Confucianists who didn't see that he is not a joker card, and the Coopers thought that he was going to give to them something. Unfortunately, from 500 viewers on a Zoom and now 50, and they're unable to raise $1,000. Field Marshal, the former Field Marshal of Libya, I'm talking about Oliver. Oliver might have just followed suit with his brother, coming up with a project, claiming and taking money, not realizing what he's supposed to do. The same thing Chris Arnold did, took 135,000 US dollars and disappeared it. Field Marshal Olebiale must give account to the 2 million that he has taken, and all of a sudden he's contravening the same person who has made those funds available. Just a few days after he took the money, he said he gave the money to Isubu. I'm yet to confirm that, but as soon as I get confirmation for that, you will have it on the news. He's saying that the money was given to Isubu, and because there's no Isubu to speak, he wants Ambazonians to believe that a 2 million francs CFA was given to him, and the next morning he gave it to Isubu. Fraud. That is all lies. Ambazonians, we will not believe him. We say no to fraudulent activity. We say no to fraudulent activity. We say no to fraudulent speeches. We have been scammed before by these individuals. We will not be scammed again. And if they think that this time committing crimes against the United States of America, they're going to go scot-free, then they are surely mistaken. Because the matter and the case is in motion, justice will prevail. What belongs to the people of Amazonia will be given to the people of Amazonia. Until next time, tomorrow on Undaunted, I hope most probably to make some analysis. Our wonderful ladies are doing so well. We're going to package the rest of it to come with it tomorrow with Undaunted. We will be analyzing aspects of what the Secretary of State for Communications and IT said on Tuesday, that was yesterday, during the news. We're going to give some excerpts or some snippets of the things he said and expand on it. And the news is going to be interesting because we have some special guests that will be a part of it and some very special announcements that have been reserved just for the news. Until then, and until next time, it's been Tarh Paddy King. I want to say good night. Bye-bye.